Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
It is a lovely December Sunday here in Nashville. Temperature at 45 degrees and the sunshine for the first time shining brightly on this Sunday. And let's check in shining brightly as well along the sideline is Laura Oakman.
Hi, Tom. The Giants added 5 more players to their IR this week, making it a league-leading 20 for the season, which means even more new faces. One player said this week, as they're getting ready, loading up for the bus, they heard players saying, am I on the right bus? You know, Tom, when guys who are playing in the game aren't even sure how to get to the game, that's a hard season.
Well, David Diehl, you told a story earlier about that 2004 year.
Yeah. 2004 year, last game of the season. You do the old leg over, crossover, lower back stretch, and I looked next to me, and it was somebody I'd never seen before. We thought it was Suit Up a Fan Day because we signed that player on Saturday, and they were starting on special teams that next day.
How about that? So that kind of year. So the Titans won the toss. They deferred to get the ball in the second half. So here we go. We're underway. That one banged out of the back to the end zone, and the Giants will get it at the 20-yard line. Today making his 164th consecutive start is Eli Manning. 10th straight year, over 3,000 passing yards. He's had to adopt David Diehl to an entirely brand new offense.
It most certainly has. This is an offense that is predicated all at the line of scrimmage, and in their base formation with a shotgun, one back, one tight end, they can run their entire offense.
They have a lot of injuries along that offensive line, so yet another combination starts there. And getting a start due to the injury to Rashad Jennings is the rookie Andre Williams, and he carries 4, a gain of almost 5. And you look at some of the standouts for the Giants, and it starts with number 13.
It most certainly does. He was the rookie of the month for the month of November with 38 catches and 593 yards. But the most important thing is they need to target him today in the second half, which they didn't do last week.
That was a game where the Giants blew a 21-0 lead, 21-3 at halftime. And a catch made up to the 35-yard line by Preston Parker. Parker's turned out to be a pretty nice addition to this Giants team with all the injuries they've had, really at every position, including the wide receiver spot. The Titans giving up 28 points per game, but they rave about Jurrell Casey in the year he's had.
He's their best defensive player. He is the most disruptive with 38 quarterback pressures on the season, and he just had one in this opening play with the quick swing move on Will Beatty.
118, 26.
Maybe a gain of a yard for Andre Williams. Williams started 4 games in a row when Rashad Jennings was out earlier this year with that knee injury. And Williams did not even average 3 yards per carry in those 4 starts.
It's going to be interesting to see how they play this out today because it's usually been a thunder and lightning. Jennings setting up the runs for Andre Williams to come in. It's going to be important for him to hold on to the ball today because this Titans defense is looking to create turnovers.
Course, last weekend, a couple of turnovers directly led to touchdowns, and that come from behind win by the Jaguars. Ruben Randall will lose a tackle and appears to be about a yard short of a first down. So 3rd down and 1 coming up for the Giants. Ben McAdoo, first-year offensive coordinator, many years working under Mike McCarthy. Only 37 years young. Third and 1 becomes first down on a carry by Williams close to midfield. Giants now 14 out of 17 on the year on 3rd down and a yard. And with the exception of 5 times, they have run it 3rd and 1. You and I have been talking a lot about that this year.
It was a nice little inside zone play on that. Larry Donnell was able to set the edge at the backside, so he was able to cut that right back and get that first down.
Put it in the hands of Beckham. They were talking about him throwing the ball this week. And looking to Ruben Randall into double coverage. I mean, they're talking about this guy playing quarterback. They're talking about him playing defensive back.
And they said that he could throw the ball with either hand. So obviously a little trickery here in the beginning of the game to try keeping this defense off balance, because they're going to find 13 on the field and they're going to keep their eyes on him.
Injury in the end zone. Cornerback Bleedy Ray Wilson, who is questionable this week with a hamstring injury, is still down on the field. Welcome back to Nashville. Taking over for the injured Bleedy Ray Wilson is Cody Sensabaugh. Was injured early in the year, but has come on to have a pretty decent season for Ken Whisenhunt's Titans. 2nd down and 10 at midfield for the Giants. Quick throw to Beckham Jr. Run out of bounds after a gain of 6. Odell Beckham Jr. missed all of training camp, the preseason, with that injured hamstring. Was inactive the first month of the season. Got a touchdown in his debut against Atlanta. But my, oh my. Starting 3 weeks later, back-to-back 100-yard receiving games, spectacular catches. And you can understand why they made him their #1 pick out of LSU.
Ray Horton and this Titans defense ratcheted up 77% pressure in this. See how they play it.
From the 3-man rush.
Yep.
And there's Parker for a first down to the Titan 30-yard line.
Nice protection by the Giants offensive line. Give enough time for Eli Manning to move and be comfortable in the pocket, hit his progressions, and have a nice strike to get that first down.
It's a gain of 15, first down Giants at the Titan 30-yard line. Eli 4 out of 4 to begin the game.
Yeah.
First carry for Rashad Jennings. And he slips down inside the 27, down to the 26, a gain of 4 for Rashad Jennings. The Giants' leading rusher on the season, came over from Oakland during the offseason.
Talk about the quiet confidence in a leader. He runs hard, he is tough, he's determined, and he's playing injured right now. That goes to show the type of heart that this player has.
And 91 rushing yards, couple of touchdowns, but injured that right ankle against Jacksonville last week.
Go, 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 go. Alpha, alpha, alpha.
Second down. Manning guns it over the middle to Beckham. First and goal, Giants down to the 8-yard line.
He's going to run that deep post route inside. Look at how much cushion that they're giving him at the line of scrimmage. He runs that one free. That's pitch and catch, and that looks like what they do right in practice. They've got to challenge him. They've got to get some hands on him. They've got to try to redirect him, and that's when he's ineffective.
Gain of 18 on a completion to Beckham. Little delay, they give it to Williams, and he is met at the 5-yard line. It's incredible when you think about Eli Manning, we said, making his 164th consecutive start. There you see the numbers in the red zone. Giants have been good in this area. Despite all their fumbles and all their interceptions and all the turnovers, when they get in the red zone, they've been among the best in the NFL this year. Donnell wrapped up. Holds on to the ball. Let me say that because he had one of the turnovers, that fumble in the 4th quarter that was returned for a touchdown. He has 4 lost fumbles on the year.
He's going to run that out of motion out of the backfield, but he's been their red zone target. They like to get him involved to open up things because of the mismatches he creates. But you're right, Tom. That huge turnover in that last game was a complete momentum changer.
Giants have 11 touchdown receptions out of their tight ends this year. Thirteenth play of the drive. Jump ball. We have talked about this play all year long. At best, it's a 50-50 shot.
Looks like there was some miscommunication. There was the bump, but look at, he wasn't able to get to the back of the end zone. And I know that you want to use Larry Donnell for his height and his size, but he's been most effective down the seams and in his crossing routes in the middle. Not so much with those jump balls.
To be a 20-yard field goal try for Josh Brown. He missed for the first time all year long a week ago. Trying to make it 20 in a row inside of 40 yards, and it is good. So they chew up 7 minutes. Giants lead 3-0. Most plays on an opening drive by the New York Giants this entire year, 14 of them. Chewing up 7 minutes and 1 second. Capped off by a 20-yard field goal from Josh Brown. We talked about how injured the Giants have been. The same is true for Tennessee. Same is true for a lot of teams. Antonio Andrews has never touched the ball in the NFL until now from the 11-yard line. And out across the 25 and dragged down at the 31-yard line. So the Titans get the ball for the first time. Zach Mettenberger in at quarterback for the Titans. Rookie out of LSU, Zach Mettenberger, trying to become the Titans' first rookie quarterback to get a win and a start going all the way back to Vince Young in 2006. They hand it off to Bishop Sankey, their leading ball carrier, and that's a gain of close to 3. Titans are without their top 2 wide receivers due to injuries from a week ago, Justin Hunter and Kendall Wright.
But the person that is going to be their major target is Delaney Walker. He's their main guy that they go to on 3rd down and in the red zone. And he's the only tight end right now in the NFL with 2 games of 140-plus yards receiving.
And again, we mentioned injuries, and certainly this time of the year, it is such a huge factor, not only for non-playoff teams, but obviously those in pursuit of the postseason. The Titans have neither one of their starting tackles active today, their regular starting tackles. Sankey again, and that'll be a gain of 2, 3rd down coming up. And for the first time, we check in back in LA, a game break with Kurt Menefee.
Well, like your 2 teams, the Carolina Panthers riding a 6-game losing streak, but they were up in New Orleans. Kelvin Benjamin with the first touchdown, 10-0. Carolina trying to get its first win since week 5 and get back in that NFC South race. Tom?
Well, everybody's in that NFC South race, David. We've seen plenty of it.
Yes, we have, and it's going to be interesting to see who is really going to take over this division, because there's not a team that says, this is our division, we want to make the playoffs.
Third down and 4, blitz coming, Mettenberger, miscommunication there with Dexter McCluster, and it is 3 and out for the Titans.
Dexter McCluster was a huge free agent acquisition for him. Now, when he was in Kansas City, he played that slot position way more than he's been playing inside like he has in this team. But the thing about this is the mismatch that he creates is great, because you want him one-on-one against the linebacker, but you can't have that miscommunication on 3rd down, and that's been their big issue, and that's why they've only converted 29%, NFL's worst this season.
Beckham at the 11. And a nice return up close to the 30-yard line. So Eli and the Giants, a 3-0 lead. They have the football when we return to Nashville.
Well, Tom, we talked about how important it is for Odell Beckham Jr. to get started and how different he'll play, different positions. Here he is in the backfield. He's getting out there. You see him outside, wide out. You see him inside now at the slot position. We've seen him on the reverse. They're going to do whatever they can to keep this defense off balance, because what they're trying to do defensively is find 13.
Right now he's at the bottom of your screen, split far to the left on this first down formation. And they're throwing the football, and they're looking for Beckham down the middle of the field. Oh, my goodness. In traffic, he just snatched it away from Jason McCourty. How about that?
That's just down at the bottom. McCourty is the guy who plays up against teams' best receivers. He's pressing them, just beats them by speed, one-on-one. Eli puts that ball up on out there, but Odell Beckham is able to show. He's able to find that ball, use his hand-eye coordination, and come down with a huge play for this offense.
A 50-yard gain on the reception by Beckham. Already 3 catches for 74 yards.
118, what is that?
Put it in his hands again. And he's down to the 15. That'll be a gain of 7.
As we said in the last drive, they're giving Odell Beckham cushion. They're letting him run his routes. They've got to do something to disrupt him, get him off of the timing with Eli Manning, because they are clicking right now. And it's going to be a tough day and a long day for McCourty if he doesn't press him and challenge him at the line of scrimmage.
No, I'm going.
Well, they were looking at Beckham again, and that one was just off target and a throw by Manning. 3rd down and 3 coming up.
I like what the Giants are doing offensively right now with their play-action game, letting this offensive line get in sync, letting them be aggressive, because that'll pay dividends down the road because they can put themselves in 3rd and short positions like they're in now.
Rashad Jennings checks back into the Giants' backfield. He is a much better pass catcher than Andre Williams. When you figure they're throwing on 3rd and 3, timeout.
This is the first charge timeout, New York, 30-second timeout.
You know, ever since he made that catch, which everybody saw on national television a couple of weeks ago, people are showing up early to watch what he's going to do in the warm-ups.
You know, this reminds you of the baseball back in the day when everybody would come for the BP practice to watch McGuire hit him out of the park. Well, this is what's been going on now on the road. You see all the people with their camera phones watching him come up with these big catches, cheering and applauding louder for a pregame player than I've ever seen in my 11 years as an NFL player.
And off to a great start, which you may remember he was last week. Had 5 catches for 59 yards in the first half. He only had 2 catches in the entire second half. 3rd down and 3. Eli to the end zone. And it is a touchdown for Odell Beckham Jr. Boy, that was the Odell Beckham Jr. drive for the Giants.
Working one-on-one again. They're not pressing at the line of scrimmage. They're letting him get that free release. They've got to challenge him at the line of scrimmage. He is too explosive, too fast to try to disrupt him. Like I stated earlier in this drive, if Jason McCourty does not challenge him, or if they do not press him or get some bracket help over, he's going to have an unbelievable day today.
And a 50-yard reception to begin the drive, and caps it off with his 6th touchdown reception of the year. $10-0 Giants in front after the touchdown reception by Odell Beckham Jr. Oilers' tight defense surrendering a league worst 28 points per game. Giants defense not much better. They're giving up 27 a game. Andrews will take a knee in the end zone. Giants have the ball at the 20. Fox brings you the biggest fight card in broadcast TV history, Junior Dos Santos. Say it for me, big man.
Stipe Miocic.
Thank you. Plus Rafael Dos Anjos taking on Nate Diaz. I mean, you're dialed in big time. The Ultimate Fighter finale on Fox Sports 1 Friday continues into Saturday with UFC Fight Night on Fox.
Stipe Miocic, the big Cleveland Croatian brawler.
First down, and the reception made. A very short game for the tight end, having a good year again, Delaney Walker.
Well, the biggest thing that this Giants defense has said, that they have got to pressure Zach Mettenberger. And Jason Pierre-Paul has got to come up big for this football team today. We said, what are you playing for? He's playing for a new contract. You need to show it today.
Another guy they're going to have to make a decision on is Antrel Rolle. Their outstanding strong safety. Those are two of the real leaders on his Giants defense. And the catch is made. That's a nice throw by Mettenberger to the veteran Derek Hagan. And it'll bring up third down for the Titans. They went 3 and out their first time up.
Derek Hagan, a former New York Giant, former teammate of mine. We used to call him the Swiss Army knife of wide receivers because he could play everything. He could play every position. He knew what to do, and he's a very experienced veteran.
He had an incredible collegiate career at Arizona State. He's bounced around 6 teams in his 8 years in the NFL. Blitz coming, and Mettenberger will be dropped by Jameel McClain.
Really good coverage by the New York Giants. They're able to protect it on the back end, which gives this defensive line time to continue to pursue and pressure and stay on the attack. You see him, JPP ripping through the outside, forcing Zach Mettenberger to step up right into Jameel McClain.
Well, the Giants in that loss to Jacksonville last week had a season-high 7 sacks, but they did not force any turnovers. Redclern to punt it, and Beckham Jr. slips across the 40, 45 up to the 48-yard line. We're not even a quarter into this one, and it has all been about the junior Big O. All Giants so far through this opening quarter, a 10-0 lead. David Deal, Laura Oakman, Tom Brenneman back in Nashville. 2004, you were a rookie out of Illinois. It was Tom Coughlin's first year as head coach of the Giants 11 years later. Here's a guy that they're wondering, is he going to be back next year?
And that's the big question surrounding New York. I think for Coach Coughlin to secure his job, they've got to win games here down the stretch in these last 4. And the biggest thing that I've always said when I've been asked about this is, yes, it's been a tough season. They've had injuries. They've had all that stuff. But who are you going to replace Coach Coughlin with? Who are you going to bring in with those type of credentials that he has that can have an immediate impact in New York City? Because it's not easy being a coach.
Let me ask you this, and look right into that camera, because a lot of Giants fans are wondering, do you think his voice is getting lost in that locker room?
I don't think it has. I do not think that Coach Coughlin's voice has been lost in that locker room. Last year, we were in the same position. We lost our first 6 games of the season. We were able to come back and win 7 of the last 10, but we had help. Unfortunately, they do not have that right now.
When you look back through the history of the Giants and their head coaches, Steve Owen is the all-time win leader. Won 2 NFL titles. Jim Lee Howe won 1. Bill Parcells in the Super Bowl era 2. Same number for Tom Coughlin in 2007, 2011. You have rings from both of those teams as a starter and a Pro Bowler, David Deal. Well, we will be talking more about that throughout the afternoon, because I don't know if there's anybody who would have a more interesting perspective on this topic than David Deal, who played for Tom Coughlin for 10 years. Penalty flag thrown on a 3rd down.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Let's get an injury update down on the field with Laura Oakman.
A couple really big ones. David's talking about how this Giants offense needs to rattle this Titans defense. Injuries are killing them right now. Safety Damian Stafford in the locker room being evaluated for a concussion. Cornerback Grady Ray Wilson still in the locker room. His shoulder is being evaluated. His return is questionable.
All right, Laura, thank you very much. Stafford got shaken up when he delivered that hit in the end zone on Odell Beckham Jr. 3rd down and 15 after the delay of game. And Beckham will be denied anywhere near first down yardage. So for the first time today, the Giants will punt. Nice play made by Brandon Harris.
They run that little screen with Odell Beckham Jr. out of the backfield. Try to get him in open space to give him some room to work. The defense for the Titans were backed up. They knew it was a 3rd and long situation. Make sure everything stays in front of you. Very nice stop for the Titans.
Penalty flag was thrown, and Ken Wisenhunt
After the
wanted to know
play,
about it.
unsportsmanlike taunting, number 13, offense. 15-yard penalty. It's 4th down.
Well, with all the things you can say that this young man does well, that is not something that Tom Coughlin's going to be happy about at all.
We saw Coach Coughlin just follow him right there off the sidelines to the bench. You know, when you're in a tough game like this and you're in a fight and you've already hit adversity the way that you have, you can't have penalties like that, because that is the way that not only do you lose games, but that undisciplined play affects everybody out on the football field.
Fielded at the 28-yard line. Slammed down to the deck is McCluster by Zach Diassi, and he's the long snapper. Look down right in the middle of your screen, 13. Flips the ball to a player. He got shoved, but they saw the flip of the ball at the Titan.
Coach Coughlin going over and talk to him, telling him to be smart, stay focused, keep your head in this game.
Titans looking for their first down, and this is not going to be
out.
That ball is loose. And he's scooped up. And racing into the end zone is Marcus Kuhn for a touchdown.
Now, I said JPP has got to cause pressure and be an impact player. They flip him to the other side. He's one-on-one against Stingley, who's in there for a hurt Titans offensive line. He's able to get that pressure, reach around, start getting Mettenberger to step up, create that huge turnover and a touchdown. This is what the Giants defense said that they needed to do: create turnovers, but also score points on defense.
Really, it looked like the hit by Devon Kennard was the one that jarred the football loose after that initial surge by Pierre Paul. And Marcus Kuhn, along with some other young defensive linemen for the Giants. Demontre Moore, Jay Bromley, Kerry Wynn, going to get a long look over the final punt. Point after is good. Kuhn, the 26-yard fumble return for a touchdown.
JPP right there, you know, they're moving him around. This is something that is going to be an advantage for the Giants defense. If they can flip-flop him, put him on different sides so you can't always slide your protections, chip with a running back or a tight end, that's what we need to see out of this defense, and that's what we need to see out of JPP consistently the entire game.
And Beckham will celebrate with his teammates as they get the takeaway. It's been a while since the Giants have picked up a fumble and returned it for a touchdown. You were playing for him 35 games ago, David Deal.
Marcus Kuhn, he's got an interesting story. He's actually from Germany.
Yep.
NC State somehow was able to find out about this player in Germany, came over from across, was able to make an impact. He's a big guy, and you know what we talked about with these injuries. You want to play young players. You want to get these guys experience. And they're going to learn it right now if they're going to show what they're capable of on the football field, because a lot of these young guys at this point in the season would not normally get these looks.
And Kuhn is a guy that they've had for a couple of years, but injuries have kept him off the field. He's only played in 15 games his first 2 years in the league. And Bruce will take a knee. 17-0 Giants. Still a minute 7 to go in this opening quarter. Can you believe it's December already? That means the holidays right around the corner. Fox will help you celebrate with a very merry Sunday fun day. 4 brand new Christmas episodes will fill you with cheer indeed. 8 Eastern, 7 Central tonight on Fox. Punt, fumble for a touchdown.
We talked about a fast start. That's not the start that you want to have.
Second key thrown down after a gain of 3 by Kennard. Now there's a young player they're excited about not only to watch the remainder of this year, but moving forward for the Giants in Devon Kennard.
He is most certainly one of the guys that has been a bright spot. He's been playing and got his opportunity through injury. And that's the biggest thing. Opportunities are never lost. Someone will take the one that you miss, and he's taking advantage of it.
Sankey up to the 26-yard line on what might be the final play of this opening quarter, a quarter dominated by the New York Giants. Although Mettenberger is hurrying them to the line of scrimmage for the first time today on a 3rd and 4.
Hey, flounder!
Nope. That'll end the opening quarter. What a start for Odell Beckham Jr. and the Giants in Nashville, 17-0. Fox NFL Sunday continues in a moment. Well, the way this year is going for injured quarterbacks, this might be the way you have to start auditioning guys in December.
You love watching this stuff in between breaks of games, fans getting out there for competitions.
Mettenberger bobbling the snap and then able to release it quickly to McCluster, and that is the Titans' first down of the game on the first play of the second quarter. Tennessee has been outscored 98-30 in the first quarter this year. 98 points allowed, the most among all teams in the NFL, and the 30 points scored tied for the fewest with Carolina.
I think the biggest thing that has hurt them this season is their time of possession. They're only averaging 26 minutes a game, which has put their defense out on the field way too long.
Jonathan Hankins hitting Mettenberger from behind as he was just starting to cut it loose, and we check in back in Los Angeles with Joel Klatt. Hi, Joel.
Hey, Tom, we go to Cleveland. The Colts trying to lock up a playoff spot. The Jaguars win over Houston would do it, but Andrew Luck sacked by Paul Kruger and Desmond Bryant. Fumble recovered in the end zone, and Cleveland with the 7-0 lead. Tom, I know you're excited. Buckeyes headed to the playoff.
Better believe it, brother. Semifinals. What an unbelievable job, Urban Meyer. 3 quarterbacks this year, and they're in the final phase. That one is caught by Delaney Walker up to the 45. You know, finishing that thought about, college coaches as Stingley is down. Now, he is a replacement starter at right tackle for the injured Michael Orr. So this could be a significant injury for Tennessee in this game if Stingley is unable to go.
It'd be a very significant loss considering Will Svitek, who is usually their crossover dual multi-tackle, left and right tackle as a backup, is starting at left tackle for Taylor Lewan. Stingley steps in at right tackle. Who's next? That's been the biggest thing. Who is next for this Titans offensive line?
Orr missed last week with an injured toe. Lewan has been out now 3 weeks in a row, including today with an injured ankle. Stingley looks like he might have a chance to be okay, although we'll wait and see.
Taron Jones, number 75, is in place right now at right tackle, and he is a monster.
That means he's built like you.
Well, that was back in my playing days. I'm currently 265 right now, so I'm a lot different than when I was playing.
You never went to 341, though.
No. I've never been over the 320 mark.
Third down. Short drop. Nice throw on the slant by Nate Washington, and there is a penalty flag behind the line of scrimmage.
Illegal hands to the face, number 75, offense. 10-yard penalty, still third down.
And it's a right tackle who just came in, Taron Jones.
JPP right away hit him with an inside quick swim move. You're going to have to watch this matchup. They try to slide their protection. You can see the guard's eyes looking that way. Chance, you've got to go help him. You've got to protect his inside when your backer drops out like that. That's the whole point of a slide protection.
Well, they continue to work on Stingley. Dennis Mettenberger, I think he shows you a little something. He's a tough young man. He had the hit he took last week from J.J. Watt that knocked him out of the game. But here he is right back in the lineup 7 days later.
When you talk to him, you can tell he's got a chip on his shoulder. He wants to prove, even though he's a late-round draft pick, he's just as good as any of these first-rounders.
First reception of the year in the first game of the year for Chris Durham. So now a decision to make.
He's going to run that inside quick slant. You see the linebackers fall up, bite up a little bit. And here we are. It's going to be a 4th down situation.
4th down and a yard at, well, almost the 47-yard line. It's a long yard. They need to get, it appears, beyond the 48. They have to spend a timeout. Kent Whisenhunt, his first year, 7th overall, spent 6 years in Arizona. Well, of course, he led the Cardinals to their only Super Bowl appearance. Coming up tonight on Fox Sports Live, don't miss an inspiring special feature as Tiger Woods meets a special 3-year-old and the most unlikely of golfers. Now, he's not only inspiring Tiger, but redefining what it means to be disabled. Looking forward to seeing that. Fox Sports Live tonight, 11 Eastern on Fox Sports 1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
And this is what I love about football. Big Carl Klug, number 97, the defensive lineman. This will be his 9th snap in there in short yardage and goal line situations. It's going to be interesting. 8 out of them have been runs, and here's the pass.
And they throw it to the big fella. How about that?
That is a lineman's dream right there. They call that a little K4 or K5, that route, that little one sliding out of the backfield. Look at him holding on to that football. He's not giving that one away when he's running to the sidelines. Nimble, big man. I like it.
Very nicely done for the 4th-year defensive lineman out of Iowa. Well, there must be something about those Big Ten defensive linemen being able to be pass catchers.
J.J. Watt has shown it all season.
Mettenberger gets out of trouble. Flips it away. And then Bromley, or Kennard rather, just level Sankey.
There's big Carl Klug again. Look at the eyes looking in, the hand-eye coordination, turning it upfield. Look at him maintain his balance and footwork. You got to love that stuff with football.
Tennessee trailing 17-0. And the throw is right on the money. And the catch made by the veteran Nate Washington this 10th season, his 30th catch of the year, and that's a first down.
Nate Washington down at the bottom of the screen is a smart and savvy vet. Does a nice job running it off, coming back to the football, making sure that he gets Shockey Brown on his heels. Very nice conversion for the Titans offense.
Mettenberger, the 178th overall pick in this year's draft. David mentioned earlier he lasted all the way to the 6th round out of LSU, where he was a 3-year starter. Screen to Sankey, and he's inside the 30 down to the 28-yard line. And today is making his 6th NFL start since taking over at the end of October.
One of the biggest things when you talk to him is how much of a difference Cam Cameron at LSU made to his development, teaching him a pro-style offense, getting him in sync and in rhythm. And the funniest thing that he said in his first game, he dropped back for his first pass. He thought everybody was covered. He went back and watched the game. Nobody was covered. It was just so fast, and he was so inexperienced at that time. But he's come a very, very long way in his development. But the key thing for him is, just like any quarterback, they've got to keep him upright today, and they cannot let him get pressure.
3rd down and 5. Under 10 minutes to go here in the second quarter from Nashville. Blitz coming again. Crossing pattern. Well short of the first down on the catch by Hagan. Well, you went for it on 4th and 1. You're in field goal range now. And Ken Whisenhunt has made the decision on what would be a 4th and 4 to give it a try on the right leg of Ryan Succop.
You talked about Antrel Rolle. Antrel Rolle does a nice job on that 3rd down, fighting through all the traffic, keeping his eyes on Hagan, his offensive guy that he's in charge of covering. You saw all the different crossing routes, but Antrel Rolle was able to diagnose it, get through it, and make a big play in the open field.
42-yard try. Succop 13 out of 15 on the year. 13 out of 16 on the year. 17-0 after the missed field goal try by Succop. Gaylord Opryland Resort and Convention Center, formerly known, of course, as Opryland Hotel. Well, if you like country music, they got it going on here, don't they?
They most certainly do, and it's been great to hear some live music. You know, when we went out to eat on Friday night, just at the restaurant, to hear people playing and singing, just nice feeling.
First down reception by the tight end Larry Donnell. So now the Giants in hurry-up mode. Under Ben McAdoo and this new system they put in, it was very ugly during the preseason and through the first 2 games of the year. It got better in a hurry during their 3-game winning streak. And most who have seen the Giants all year long will say, yeah, there have been a lot of turnovers. Eli Manning so far this year has 12 interceptions. 5 of those came in 1 game against the Giants. They've lost a lot of fumbles. 14 of them. First down carry by Williams not going anywhere. But, you know, David, those that see the Giants regularly feel like it's been a pretty good adaptation to this new system. Would you agree or not?
Yeah, this is a completely different offense than what they ran last season. I mean, just look at Eli Manning. You know, talking about him and his footwork being completely opposite than what he's done his entire career. So, yeah, there's been some learning curves, and we've seen what they were capable of doing when they had a cohesive, healthy unit.
See, the numbers are significantly better for Eli Manning this year than where they were a year ago under the longtime offensive coordinator Kevin Gilbride. Second down catch made by Donnell. It brings up 3rd down and 4.
Just think about how different Odell Beckham Jr. would be if he had Victor Cruz out there with him, the 1-2 combination. It looked like a completely different offense. I will say this, I've been surprised right now with the Tennessee Titans because they've been a normal blitz team on 3rd down that they're sending the house early on. Let's see if they dial it up now because they're showing mug linebackers.
Easy throw and catch there to convert on the first down, and already that puts Beckham over 100 yards in the game. His 7th catch of the afternoon.
This is his 4th 100-yard game. You're going to see him down at the bottom of the screen, motion inside. Just send it off, run that right to the sideline, and I'm going to continue to say it this whole game. You've got to pressure him. You've got to get your hands on him and try to redirect him and ruin the timing. Because right now, Eli Manning and him are in sync, and they're rolling.
Williams to the 41. That'll be a gain of 4 on first down. This game is moving along quite reminiscent of the Giant team you saw a week ago.
The biggest thing is the second half. They've moved the ball effectively this game, but it was the second half, especially the 3rd quarter, which was really the changing point of that football game.
Second down, Manning, good protection, looking down to Ruben Randall, who just fell down. Bring up 3rd down. Well, last week, their first 4 possessions of the game, they had a punt and 3 touchdowns. The last 9 times the Giants had the ball, 4 punts, a field goal, a missed field goal, 3 fumbles. 2 of those turnovers converted directly into Jaguar touchdowns. Giants 4 out of 6 on third down so far today.
I got you.
Blitz coming this time. And I'm not sure if Beckham hung on. They said he did. And that is a catch for a first down to the 34-yard line.
You see him on the outside one-on-one, but this time they actually brought Michael Griffin to the inside to try bracketing him. Ran the out route, was able to get that square out to the sticks and hold on to that football and get that first down.
Well, in a short amount of time, the career high in a single game for Odell Beckham Jr. is 156 yards. That was against Indianapolis, his first 100-yard game. And he's on his way to a lot more than that today. 8 for 111. Second down.
When I talked to Joe Skeever when they drafted Odell Beckham Jr., that ball is coming out at 45 miles an hour out of that jug machine. And he's been there for over 20 years. He said, in the 20 years I've been here, I've never seen a receiver catch the ball that soft out of that machine.
I'm saying something.
Feel it, Jay. Go.
Nice play to drive, and they hand it off to Rashad Jennings. Injured ankle and all. He's out there today for Tom Coughlin Giants. Gain of maybe 2. Third down and 8 coming up. Beckham in the slot at the top of your screen. And this will back up the Giants, it appears, 5 yards. Or is it offsides against the D? Yep, defense.
Defense.
Neutral zone infraction, number 97, defense. 5 yards penalty, still third down.
Called that on Klug. You know, that's surprising. That's only the 5th one that they've had on the defensive line. They've done a very good job this season timing up the cadence, the snap counts of other teams. So Eli must have done a nice job with his voice inflection with the count on that play.
A much more manageable third down and 3 after the 5-yard penalty. And making the reception on the far side is Parker. And the Giants drive continues to the Titan 15-yard line.
Had that little twins look with Parker and Odell Beckham down at the bottom of the screen. Odell Beckham ran the fly that let Parker get not the attention that he got. He was one-on-one and was able to come up with another big catch.
Wide right. Hey, yeah, QA. Hey, 33. Hey, 33.
Same play we saw a minute ago. Beckham tried to slip through to tackle of Brandon Harris and then dives ahead inside the 10 down to the 9-yard line.
Odell Beckham Jr. fighting for the yards after carry. And I think that they're doing a nice job now of moving the pocket, moving the launch point of Eli Manning. That when they had a nice little rollout to keep this defense off balance. And so far, this offensive line has done a nice job.
We talked about all the shuffling around both of these teams have done on the offensive line last week alone. James Brewer was hurt. They put Schwartz on IR. There's a catch by Donnell and tripped up to the 4-yard line.
This is a player you have to give a lot of credit to, is Larry Donnell. He was a practice squad guy, you know, paid his dues, worked really hard through the system, and he's really stepped up in this tight end oriented offense. You know, when you look back at all those years of Jermichael Finley and all those players that were huge for Aaron Rodgers, he's been that guy this year for Eli Manning.
Well, the only negative has been we brought up earlier, the lost fumbles by Donnell.
Yep.
2-minute warning. All Giants so far today in Music City. Follow your favorite team all season long. Just go to iTunes.com/NFL. 13th play of this drive for the Giants. They have been very impressive so far today here in Tennessee. Leading 17-0, first and goal from the 4. Williams for a yard, maybe 2, depending on the spot. What a day it's been for Odell Beckham Jr. 9 catches, 117 yards. Compare that to the entire Tennessee receiving corps.
They call that having a day, is what they call that. But I think the most important thing, just like last week, they've got to do it in the second half with them.
And you brought that up with Coach Coughlin yesterday about finishing. And he wasn't finished for a while.
No, he sure wasn't.
Coming up on the Visa Halftime, I'll be joined by all these guys as the Steelers and Bengals lock up in a key AFC North battle, and the Ravens look to take a wild card spot from the Dolphins. We get you caught up on all the action coming up on the Visa Half.
Hey, who's this good-looking guy?
Howie or Michael? Which one are you talking about?
Williams bounces to the outside and is dragged down short of the goal line by the rookie Avery Williamson. 3rd down and goal now for the Giants.
Third and final timeout, Tennessee.
And the Titans will spend a timeout. Well, on a 3rd and goal from just outside the 2-yard line, Odell Beckham Jr. is standing on the sideline. Jumbo set. And they're going to throw it. Those are the kind of plays, and we saw the jump ball attempt that was nowhere close to being a completion. Where if you're a football fan, there is nothing wrong whether you're a fan or whether in our job, where you ask yourself, what are you doing here?
You know, they had Fells running the crossing route across the middle. Eli went through his progressions. But when you get down at the goal line and you're in that position, it's your will against theirs. And you, at this point in this game, I wish they would have put it in the hands of the offensive lineman. Run that football and prove that you are the more disciplined and dominant team at the line of scrimmage.
Well, it's been nearly a perfect first half for the Giants. 19-year-old field goal good by Brown. 20-0 New York. 20-0 with 1:38 to go. Tom Coughlin, Waterloo, New York, 19 years as an NFL head coach, won 161 games, one of 13 coaches in the history of this great game to win multiple Super Bowls. But this will be the 3rd straight year, David Neal, the Giants are not going to make the playoffs. And in a lot of cities, none more so than New York. You don't make the playoffs 3 years in a row, you're going to start getting kicked around. Well, for some of you perhaps just tuning in, been a big first half for Odell Beckham Jr. the Giants and Eli Manning, 20-0 lead. And their defense has shown up so far today. Tennessee just 66 yards of offense, including his fumble on a hit by Kennard that was returned for a touchdown by Marcus Coon. The Titans have also missed a field goal try after a good drive during the 2nd quarter. Ken Wisenhunt, a former walk-on at Georgia Tech. He was a quarterback when he went there. They converted him into a tight end, was a 12th round draft pick, and spent nearly a decade in the NFL as a pretty good player. Two-minute offense for Mettenberger and the Titans. Ball stripped away on the hit by Pierre-Paul. And somehow Pierre-Paul looked like he wanted to get up and start running with the ball. And he whiffed on the ball. And Mettenberger's hurt.
Illegal hands to the face, number 68, offense, 10-yard penalty.
Mettenberger, he's up, but you can see he is in
to
some
decline
pain.
the penalty. It'll be second down.
They looked to help and chip to JPP, and he turned that into a straight bull rush. Was able to get Will Svitek back on his heels, come up with a huge sack and strip force fumble. They were able to recover it, but they've got to be very cautious here because Mettenberger has been hurt coming into this game. They need him to run this offense successfully.
He injured his right throwing shoulder when J.J. Watt drove him into the ground. That was in the third quarter of last week's game. And you saw a moment ago when he went to throw the ball with the right arm. And the momentum there, and then all of a sudden it's taken away when Jason Pierre-Paul grabbed his right elbow. And that sort of torque, would not be surprised at all if he has re-injured that right shoulder.
Now you can see him really hampered by it right now. You see him kind of leaning and showing some of it with his body language, but he is a tough guy. You've got to give Zach Mettenberger a lot of credit.
On the sideline, I'm all right. We have to throw it on 3rd and 13. That throw right on the money and just plain dropped by Delanie Walker.
It's been a part of why they've been having the struggles on 3rd down. The penalties, they have 15 offensive holding calls, which is 3rd most in the NFL, but their drops have been in key parts of games. And when you're down in a game like this and you lean on your veterans like Delanie Walker, you've got to catch that football.
Brent Kern puts a foot on it. And at the 37, a fair catch for Beckham Jr. Giants have plenty of time to try and add to this 20-0 lead. Love to welcome the men and women in uniform serving around the world, watching today's broadcast in 175 countries and aboard ships at sea on AFN, the American Forces Network. Thank you for all you do. Standing tall, proud, and strong for the greatest country in the world. Our thoughts and prayers with all of you.
Go.
First down and dropped off out of the backfield. Andre Williams. You know an unbelievable stat about Andre Williams? He did not catch a single pass in 4 years at Boston College. Not one. In fact, his senior year in high school in Allentown, Pennsylvania, he only had 4 catches.
And he was a dominant runner at Boston College. His yards after carry and contact, that is a very surprising stat.
And here he is with more catches on back-to-back plays, double the amount that he had at BC.
Giants moving the ball downfield, but you know, this in the first half is what we've seen out the New York Giants. They stressed it, and I think every fan at home that is watching this game knows the third quarter has been their worst quarter. They've been outscored 109-34 in the third quarters. That's a 75-point differential, which is the worst in the NFL. So if they can come up with points on this drive, that's great. The third quarter is going to be the key one.
Williams again running the football this time, and he barrels his way to the 35-yard line. Clock continues to roll. Giants have 1 timeout left. Eli Manning will get up to the line of scrimmage, and that's what we were talking about, David just referred to. The inability, as Tom Coughlin says regularly, to finish games. Preston Parker snatches it home at the 18-yard line.
Preston Parker inside at that slot position. Gets pressed, breaks it off to the sidelines. Very nice, precise route, clean out of his break. Eli Manning was able to hit that with perfect timing to the sidelines where Parker could only catch that ball, and the defensive backs could not get their hands on it.
Good protection, and that one short on the attempt to Beckham Jr. Again, halftime right around the corner, where Kurt, Terry, Howie, Jimmy, and Michael will tell you what's going on in that rumble in the jungle in Cincinnati. The Bengals v. Steelers. Well, what a race that is. In the AFC North, Browns are at home today. They were debating about going with Johnny Manziel as a starter. They stayed with Brian Hoyer.
Stay. Hey, we got Ray. Come on.
Into the hands of Orleans Cartlook, and then out of the hands. It's an incompleted pass. A rookie with all the 4 NFL carriers was waived by Miami a few weeks ago and is picked up by the Giants.
Trying to get him out of the backfield. You see Larry Donnell is going to run that square route, trying to get the linebackers to get out of position. Ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. And here we're in the 3rd down.
3rd down and 10 from the 18-yard line. Down the middle. And slightly overthrown to the back of the end zone to Kevin Ogletree.
Eli's upset with that one because he knew he had him. Ogletree right here in the slot position is going to run that route right through the seams. And after he runs that, he's going to head right towards the goalpost. Right to that middle of the post is where you're aiming on that one. Ball was just overthrown. You saw Eli's frustration after that one because he knows he missed that.
And the Giants, we mentioned, have been so good in the red zone. They've not necessarily been great in the red zone today. 3rd field goal try by Brown. One from 36 yards away. And that one is good. So a 23-0 lead for the Giants. You went into halftime your entire career, more times than not leading, but from time to time behind with Tom Coughlin in there at halftime. Are you surprised they have struggled as badly as they have struggled in the 3rd quarter this year with that in mind?
I think so, because at any point in any game, the halftimes is the biggest points to make your adjustments for the second half. If things are going well, you still have to make some tweaks to get your team in a chess game so that you're winning and executing at a high level the second half. But the most important thing in the 3rd quarter for this Giants team, not only have they been outscored, but that's when they've had their turnovers. That's where they've let teams stay in football games, and they've completely changed the momentum of games.
Eli Manning in the first half, 20 out of 29 for 226 yards and a touchdown. But you know he's thinking about the 3 drives that have stalled deep into Tennessee territory, leading to field goals. Well, this could easily be a 40-point game in the first half for the Giants. Yard line. We talked about that collapse last week. Fumble. Somehow Jennings did not pick it up. Recovered by the Jaguars for a touchdown. Late throw. Had the fumble by Donnell. Picked up. Returned for a touchdown. Blew a 21-3 halftime lead.
And that's the first time in New York Giants history that they've led at half by 21 points in 2 games and lost
Illegal
back-to-back
snap,
games.
number 60, offense. 5-yard penalty. Put 3 seconds on the game clock. 3 seconds on the game clock.
One of
Clock will
3
start on the
replacement
snap.
starters on this Tennessee offensive line in this game today. They're without Lewan, their left tackle, Michael Orr, their right tackle, and their regular center, Brian Schwanke. 23-0. The Giants lead it at halftime. So right now, we send you to Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles and the rest of the game for the Visa halftime, which begins right now. 23-0, the Giants in front of the Tennessee Titans. And Nissan, our performance that excites. How do you not get excited? I don't care if you're a Giant fan or you root for him to lose every game. You gotta like watching this young man play football, don't you?
You most certainly have to. Odell Beckham Jr. has shown why he's a first-round draft pick and has shown why he's deserved the attention that he's been getting. But like we said, he had the same type of impact. He didn't have over 100 yards, but he had the same type of impact he's had in this game that he did last. But we've got to see the production in the second half. You've got to target him. You've got to keep moving him around like you have in different positions to keep this Titans defense off balance, because it's opened up everything in this offense.
On the flip side, if you're the Titans, and obviously the first half was not a good one. You look inside some of the numbers, only a total of 62 yards. You have the turnover, which led to the fumble recovery and run in for a touchdown by Marcus Kuhn. What are you saying at halftime right now if you're Ken Whisenhunt?
Let's come out this second half and let's just play sound football. Let's block. Let's make tackles, sure tackles in open field. Let's just get in a rhythm and let's play our game. That's what you want to say to him. You can't have the penalties. You can't have all the stuff that is just completely knocking your team back. You're not gaining the yards that you need to have. And the other thing that you want to say to them is, this second half, when you're down like this, you're going to run some no huddle. You're going to do some different things up tempo-wise to try changing the flow of the football game. And that's something that actually Zach Mettenberg has done a very nice job of, is running the no huddle in and out of the line of scrimmage, because when you're a rookie player like he is, it allows you to react and not overanalyze and overthink things.
Well, we talked about Odell Beckham Jr. What a first half outside of a silly, unsportsmanlike penalty. I mean, they gave him a chance to throw the football. We know he can catch a football. 9 of them for 117 yards and a touchdown. He's even able to induce a smile out of Eli Manning. You don't see a lot of those, at least not while he's wearing a Giant uniform.
Well, you've seen a lot of smiles out of Eli Manning. It's just during tough times like this, you know, it's hard to celebrate and get those things when you've lost 7 straight games.
Tennessee will get the football to begin the second half. Antonio Andrews brings it back out to the 20-yard line. And, of course, we check in at halftime, as always, with Laura Oakman.
Hi, Tom. I talked to Coach Tom Coughlin, who, no surprise here to anybody, didn't talk about the first half. What he told his guys was finish. Exactly what you guys talked about earlier. I know you're not surprised. He said, no. I want more effort. I want more energy. I want more turnovers. We weren't hungry enough last week. I want to see that hunger. They've also done a lot of visualization this week, visualizing through plays. I said, did you talk about that at halftime? And he said, I told them visualize the locker room after we win.
How about that? You got to go all the way back to the beginning of October since the Giants last won a football game on first down. It is Sankey up to the 28-yard line. And David, I would imagine when you have a losing streak that long, Titans have lost 6 in a row, Giants have lost 7 in a row. It must feel like months have gone by. I mean, more than just 2 months.
It feels longer than that when you're in a drought like that, because you come to work every day, you punch the clock, but you do not reap the rewards and the benefits if at the end of the day you come up with a loss.
Sankey bouncing off a tackle and wrapped up by Jameel McClain. Short of a first down to bring up third down for the Titans on this opening possession of the second half.
Very nice play by JPP right there at the point of attack, stacking the left guard Andy Levitre on that stretch play and forcing everything back inside. Nice play.
Right tackle, who came in as a starter even though he was a backup to Michael Moore. Byron Stingley hurt in the first half. He's not out there to begin the second half. It's Taron Jones.
Oh, he's out of bounds.
Is that a catch in bounds? No, it is not. 3 and out to begin this second half for Mettenberger and the Tennessee Titans.
That is definitely not the start that Ken Whisenhunt talked in halftime at. they've got to get in sync. They've got to get in rhythm and in some flow of the football game, because if they do not, this defense is going to be out on the football field for the Titans way too long, which they have this season for over 33 minutes a game. And it's just going to completely break down everything to where this Giants offense, they're going to be able to run whatever they want.
Back up from the 21-yard line, across the 25, loses his footing right at the 26. And there's a penalty flag right along the far sideline. Walt Anderson, our referee today.
During the return, personal foul, face mask, number 28, the kicking team. It's a 15-yard penalty. Will be enforced from the end of the run. First down, New York. Timeout.
That is Marquestin Huff for the infraction. Eli and the Giants, their first possession of the second half when we come back. Welcome back to Nashville, Tennessee.
118, what's that?
Eli Manning turns, hands it off to Williams on first down. That'll be a gain. Well, he slipped all his way up to the 45-yard line. That'll be a gain of 4. We talked about the last couple of weeks in the third quarter. Those are not good numbers.
It hasn't only been the last 2 weeks. Like I said, the third quarter, this team has been outscored by 77 points. I mean, that's right alone is a way to lose 7 straight football games.
118, what's that?
Inoski leading the way. And just barreling forward, trying to get to the first down, is Williams. And it looks like he is just inches short.
It's a nice job by the offensive lineman, continuing to push the pile, moving their feet, getting those extra yards. That's what you need to do in this type of game, because not only is it extending the runs, but you're controlling the time of possession in the line of scrimmage.
First time all year long on third down and 1 inside the 5. The Titans have stopped a 3rd and 1. They try to do it again. Pop by Williams and into the open field. And Andre Williams will race to the end zone. A touchdown, 49 yards. And he nearly lost the football when he took the pitch from Eli Manning.
Very nice play design. You're going to see the kick down by Henry Hynoski, the kick out by Adrian Robinson at the point of attack that creates that big open seam to get Williams out in open space and show what Andre Williams is capable of. Hey, he may have not caught a ball in Boston College, but he knows how to run a football and he knows how to score touchdowns.
Well, his quote during the Giants training camp this year in the preseason was, he said, "God built me to run the football." And that officially is the longest run by a Giant this season. They say it is 50 yards to pay dirt. Been a while since the Giants have had a running back carry one for longer than 50 yards into the end zone. Got to go back to the 2012 year against New Orleans. But it just happened on their last play from the rookie out of Boston College, Andre Williams.
We were talking about the third quarter, Tom. Well, they've responded with the touchdown. It's exactly what they said they needed to do, and they've done it. It's not at this point about what you say, it's what you put on the football field.
If you're wondering who the last Giant to do it, David Wilson out of Virginia Tech, who of course had to call it quits after he suffered a neck injury last year, came back in the preseason, felt a stinger, and certainly we wish that young man all the very, very best, trying to make it as an Olympian sprinter.
I will tell you that. He has got a second gear, and that's for sure. And I remember that play, did a backflip after scoring that touchdown, and we were hoping that that was the future you would see out of David Wilson.
Well, Mettenberger was injured last week. He clearly injured his shoulder again, the right throwing shoulder, on that hit by Jason Pierre-Paul. And even throwing the football, getting ready for this second half. Right after throwing, he went over to sort of stretch it out a little bit and is in some discomfort.
shown his toughness, and I've got to say I was very impressed talking to this young rookie player on Friday at practice, just his understanding of the NFL and what it takes to be successful in this league. Because let's face it, like we stated in the open, this is a job audition for everybody out on the football field.
Well, his first throw is a good one. To Derek Hagan up to the 47-yard line.
Was able to plant his feet, get his eyes downfield. Started with the offensive line, with the protection. Gave him time, was able to sort through, diagnose everything, and come up with a nice throw to Derek Hagan.
26 yards. That is the longest completion today for Mettenberger and the Titans. Right back on the ground is Sankey and wrapped up by Jason Pierre-Paul. That'll be a gain of 2. We're going to talk more about Tom Coughlin later, but David, I know you're not the general manager of the New York Giants. I know you're not the owner of the Giants. But you've been around the game a long, long time. And when you have to start evaluating your own, and it is frequently said, one of the smartest people I've ever met in professional sports is in baseball, a guy named John Schuerholz, legendary general manager of the Atlanta Braves, now their president. And I always thought he said something so interesting when you're talking about players, whether you're going to bring them back to your team. He said, one thing is for sure, you better know your players better than you know other teams' players. In other words, getting wrapped up in that free agent out there with another team, you better make good decisions on the guys you have and the guys you're going to keep and the guys you're going to let go. Jason Pierre-Paul and Antrel Rolle, those are 2 very important decisions for the Giants.
They most certainly are. JPP has not had the statistical numbers that he is normally accustomed to and what people expect out of him. Antrel Rolle, you know what you're getting out of Antrel Rolle every single day at practice, every single Sunday. He has it at 100 degrees, and he is flying around, and he is one of the true leaders of the New York Giants.
Well, he was right there in the middle of that incompleted third down pass by Mettenberger, so it's punt time again. When there's been a whole lot of that by this Tennessee team today. First 2 possessions, 2 others in the first half. They did get a first down on that one, but only one single first down and a completion to Hagan. Fair catch by Ruben Randall. Long way to go, and the Giants are rolling.
Game on Fox is sponsored by Kay Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K.
Giants with the football. And a first down and 10. Starting this drive from their own 17-yard line. Giants already with 317 yards of offense. And they'll add to it as they drop it off to Williams. Well, football today and basketball coming up this week. On Wednesday night, 2 of college basketball's most storied programs. 11th ranked Kansas battles Georgetown. Our coverage begins Wednesday, 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. You ready for college hoops yet, David Deal?
I love college hoops. There's nothing better but some good rivalries. And I'm hoping my Illini have a great season.
Well, you got a good football, you got a good basketball coach here for the Fighting Illini.
Big fan of Coach Grosh, and it's great. I'll actually be watching them on Tuesday night at the Garden.
Nice. Let's check in with Joel Klatt back in Los Angeles.
All right, Tom, big one there in Cincinnati. Pittsburgh coming back here. Roethlisberger finds some time, checks it down to Le'Veon Bell. He goes in for the 10-yard score, 3rd TD in his last 3 games. 17-14 Steelers. Tom and David.
Saw the Steelers lose a stunner last week. They were humiliated by the New Orleans Saints, and if anybody can figure out any team in that NFC South, you might want to let them know about it. Because Drew Brees and the Saints, 5 touchdown passes last week, and they're getting drilled. That one is intercepted. And running it back into the end zone for a touchdown is Marquestin Huff.
This is a football that Eli Manning knows that he should not throw this. You're scrambling. I know you're keeping your eyes downfield. But you could run that football, tuck that ball away and go with it. You're trying to throw it across your body to Larry Donnell. I mean, just put that one away. Very poor decision by Eli on that one.
13 interceptions now thrown by Manning this season. We mentioned 5 of those came in one game against the Giants. 9 of them have come in 3 games. Came against 49ers. 9 of them coming in 3 games this year. And even though this is a 30 now to 7 game, that is 29 games in a row the Giants have turned the ball over. And this one, a pick 6. Marquestin Huff, the rookie out of Wyoming. He spent his first 3 years in college as a cornerback, converted to a safety his senior year. And he brings one back for the first time in 26 games. An interception returned for a touchdown by a Titan. Eli still shaking his head.
Rightfully so. He knows that was a very poor decision on that one, and he may be up at that point 30 to nothing, but you cannot be careless with the football like that.
Weston Parker takes a big hit up to the 17-yard line. Well, coming up this Saturday, we're excited. We'll be in Florida to bring you the final round of the Franklin Templeton Shootout. Some of the best golfers in the world compete with over $3 million on the line. Joe Buck, Greg Norman and company. Saturday 1 Eastern only on Fox, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Where's Fox now home of the U.S. Open?
That's it. Come on, Jay. 118, right there.
And hand it to Williams. He broke one for 50 his last carry, and it's one again on 13. Let's check in downstairs with Laura.
I wanted to finish something that we talked about halftime when I brought up visualization this week. It's something the Giants did a lot of. The coaches said the situation. Here's the call we're going to make. Visualize the call. Visualize doing it. Visualize it. Visualize succeeding it. They had film sessions, jog-throughs, talking about finishing, visualizing it. They even kicked a field goal in practice, a game-winning field goal, Tom, and they had the team celebrate it. So it wasn't just seeing it, it was feeling and experiencing it.
Very interesting. First down carry again by Williams, wrapped up by Al Woods, former Pittsburgh Steeler.
And I know people at home, when Laura just came with that report, people at home may be thinking, oh, well, you know, that's not a big deal. It is. Think about it. You've gone 7 weeks without having the joy of a victory, having that feeling of what you're putting all the work in day in and day out, and spending the time away from your family to do this job to the best of your ability.
Been a busy day for Andre Williams, and he's starting to put together a good day. He's up over 100 yards on the afternoon. First 100-yard rushing game of his young career. Titans have allowed now 7 running backs to eclipse 100 yards in a game this year. Pretty nifty catch right there, made by Adrian Robinson. They have him third on the depth chart at tight end in his 3rd year out of Cincinnati.
It's a really nice catch by Adrian Robinson there. They're going to show him on the back side of that. He's going to fake that he's cutting it off. He does a little olay and spins around to get back to the outside. Very nice catch. It's just unfortunate that knee went down and they weren't able to convert.
So out comes the punt team for the Giants. Steve Weatherford on what would be a 4th down and 1. The question is, are they going to bring out the chains to make sure? The chains are on the near side of the field. First half they were on the far side of the field. That's how much they're short. Walt Anderson reminding those that run the play clock here to go ahead and start that along with a game clock. So we are now under 6 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Weatherford will put the right foot on it.
Speaking of Walt Anderson, I always had great conversations with him while I was a player. He's like, hey, Walt, we're both number 66. You know, you can't throw a penalty against me. He's like, well, then don't make me throw it.
Did he?
Oh, yeah.
Well, take a look at this. While we were away after that punt a moment ago by Steve Weatherford with the special teams coach, Tom Quinn. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this in a long time.
Well, this is a game of emotion, and we see the Steve Weatherford and Tom Quinn getting after it. You know, the thing that Coach Quinn was stressing about is field position. That was a touchback. They wanted to keep that one in and try to pin back this Titans offense.
McCluster never looked up to see if the ball was on its way, and it flies right by him. It continued on to the back of the bench and trying to calm down a little bit of Steve Weatherford, or calm down Tom Quinn.
Gotta love this game.
Sidearm delivery there, and McCluster is dragged down behind the line of scrimmage. It'll bring up third down and long. And it has been a long day with still a long way to go for Mettenberger and the Tennessee Titans.
He just got hit again, and he was slow to get up. They've got to make sure that they protect him. You can see that they're trying to get the ball out of his hands quick, running a little bubble screen there, you know, running the quick slants to these receivers, because they've got to do something to change this up.
Only 1 out of 8 on third down. While the Titans in the game, they have a total of 98 yards of offense. Better protection this time. That is a fastball delivery there. And Chase Kaufman, the backup tight end, unable to hang on to it. That looked like a good throw from up here. Let's take another look.
Sure did. It looked like a good throw. He put that low and down where only he could catch the football because he had Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie coming from that outside. Like we stated, when your number's called in a game like this and you're trying to prove yourself, you've got to catch that football.
Beckham will tiptoe out of bounds at the 37-yard line. NFL athletes grew up playing in communities all across America. Now through NFL Play 60, they're encouraging kids in neighborhoods everywhere to come out and play for 60 minutes a day. To learn how NFL stars played as kids, find great play ideas. Visit NFLRush.com/play60. What were you playing, David Deal?
Those were some of the most fun events and activities and different programs throughout the NFL that I've still continued to be a part of. To do some of those things with my daughter Addison and to get her out there with her friends playing ball and with a bunch of my former teammates, it was just an unbelievable experience.
Elon comes out throwing. That's Beckham, and he's up to the 42-yard line. Beckham, his 10th catch of the day. He had 9 in the first half for 117 yards. That is his first reception of this second stanza.
They still continue to give him that cushion where he is getting a free release at the line of scrimmage, and he's just being able to do whatever he wants to do because they're not doing anything to change the timing or try to redirect him. He's still getting he's getting more attention. They're trying to bracket to him, but you've got to do something to disrupt him.
Rhinoceros leading the way. One of the great nicknames in the history of football.
Great nickname. I'm not so sure about his touchdown celebration dance.
I loved it. I was there that night.
But you got to love the Rhinoceros.
Let's check in with Kurt Menefee.
Hey, who would have thought that the quarterback who struggled the most today in Cleveland might be Andrew Luck? He throws a pick 6 to the rookie Justin Gilbert. Luck also fumbled in the end zone for a Cleveland touchdown. 2 defensive scores have the Browns up 21-10 in the third. Tom and David.
Well, head coach Mike Pettin deciding to stay with Brian Hoyer is the Browns quarterback, figuring they've gone 7-5 with him there. They took too much time on first down, or was there a timeout called? Timeout Giants.
Timeout, New York. 30-second timeout.
David, I want to ask you about that decision by Mike Pettine, because you and I are going to have the privilege of calling the Bengals v. Browns next weekend. That could be a huge game in that AFC North. Were you surprised they stayed with Brian Hoyer this week?
I was very surprised about that, just for the sheer fact that when Johnny Manziel came into the game last week, it brought life into that Cleveland Browns team. And he just has that knack. But the minute that they saw him coming off, you saw the entire team get off the bench and to the sidelines to watch to see what he was going to do. I think that it was a move on his part that Brian Hoyer may have earned the right to give one more shot. But for me personally, I think that they should have went with Johnny Manziel, because you're looking to win. You're looking to do something to create a spark for yourself in the month of December, and that would have been the way to do it.
Beckham, a yard short of a first down. I'll tell you one thing right now. If Cleveland finds a way to win that game today over Indianapolis, as we take a look at the total yards here today, look at that. Beckham Jr. and Andre Williams, 256. The Titans are under 100. Second down and a yard. Williams continues to pile up yards down to the 37. But, you know, David, it has been a long time since the Cleveland Browns have been in a position to play a big game in December. We'll get to that in a minute.
You know, nice pull by Weston Richburg to lead it open there. You know, this is a young rookie that they are very impressed with for his ability to come in, show the type of technique as a young player. Nicely blocked by him right there for Andre Williams. I think he's going to be a very good player for years to come.
Here comes Cross.
He is a busy man today. Modeled up that time by big Sammy Hill right in the line of scrimmage. I want to finish that thought about Cleveland. If they were to win that game today, they go to 8-5. Boy, can you imagine what we're going to be walking into in the Dog Pound next Sunday? They have not played a meaningful game in December in years in Cleveland, Ohio.
I mean, talk about a fan base that loves their football team, and what a way to be doing it if they come away with the win against their in-state rival, the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, they dominated the Bengals in the Queen City earlier this year, one of only 3 Bengals losses. Beckham Jr. run out of bounds. Speaking of the Bengals, they just scored to go ahead of the Steelers. Tight game there in Cincinnati, 21-17. Ravens, all those teams have won at least 7 games. Every team in one division. Blitz coming on 3rd down and 7. Eli rolls. And they've hit that play a couple of times, but not this time. Was that ball intercepted? No.
I think the interesting out of that play is you saw Odell Beckham Jr. on the motion talk to Eli, and Eli changed the play to when he got to the other side to give it to him.
Well, that's a great play by Brandon Harris.
Very nice play. Look at that. Gets his hand in there, arm strength to rip it out. Come up with a big play and a big stop there on 3rd down.
Well, Josh Brown has more than enough leg for this kind of distance. 52 yards. And he has enough leg for this one. Wow. 32nd career field goal from 50 or more by Josh Brown. That is the 6th most all time. Brown was a nice pickup for the Giants.
Very nice pickup and just a great teammate, just an all-around good guy. Comes to work every day, and I'm not going to stress that too much. These specialist guys like to have their fun, and they have their free time during practice. But just an overall, just great teammate and a great guy to have in the locker room.
Do players, and I call them regular players, position players. I'm not taking anything away from the kickers.
No,
I'm not one of those guys to do that. But do they get to know the guys on the team as well as maybe other players do?
They do, because all three of the guys, whether you're talking about Steve Weatherford, Brown or Zach Diassi, all great guys in the locker room, just all around good people. And yeah, they have that stigma that, well, they're kickers, they're specialists, but they're involved in everything, and they've all been great teammates throughout the years, and not to mention they've been great for the Giants.
I don't believe that. Antonio Andrews up to the 25-yard line. Week 14 continues later on CBS, and for some of you right here on Fox, and tonight Sunday Night Football. Tomorrow, Monday Night Football. Every game. A big game for both of those teams. One trying to get into the playoffs. The other one trying to nail down home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And I don't know how many teams want to go to Green Bay, Wisconsin in January. Murder on first down under heavy pressure and is sacked for the fourth time today. And that's Devontre Moore.
Very nice coverage right there by the New York Giants. Completely locked down the receivers on that one. The constant pursuit by this defensive line were able to come up with that sack.
He talks a lot about Moore is going to get more playing time since they made him a third-round pick a year ago. Off to the fourth quarter. Fox NFL Sunday continues after a break from your local station. First half totally dominated by the Giants. 33-7 as we begin the fourth quarter. It is a second down and 15 after the sack of Mettenberger a moment ago by Devontre Moore. Mettenberger drills it in there short of a first down, but up to the 28-yard line to Delaney Walker. Third down and 6. Dangerous throw. And it is picked up by Rodgers Cromartie, who will high step into the end zone. A touchdown for the Giants. And there is a penalty flag back in the line of scrimmage. And there's another penalty flag as a couple of veterans, Antrell Roll and Rodgers Cromartie, decide they're going to start taking fake pictures of one another after the touchdown. Boy, oh boy. Does it ever end? There are two penalty flags down. One of them we know for sure is a celebration in the end zone.
Here's the other one. Ugh. Just no point for that. Completely undisciplined. Ball's away from you. Get your hits on the quarterback during the play. Not like that.
There are two fouls, both on the defensive team. After the score, unsportsmanlike conduct number 26 of the defense, that penalty is declined. During the return, personal foul, unnecessary roughness number 98 of the intercepting team, that penalty will be enforced 15 yards from the spot of the foul. Will be first down.
see Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie the entire time. He has got his eyes right on Zach Mettenberger, and he makes that break for that ball because he diagnosed it throughout the entire time. Come up with a huge pick for a touchdown. It's called back. That right there, that penalty, that's just bad.
There is no touchdown. The foul, the personal foul occurred during the return after the interception. It'll be New York's ball following the 15-yard penalty.
I asked you, David Deal, before this game began about when your team has only 2 wins, as is the case for the Titans. Your team has 3 wins. You've lost 7 in a row if you're the New York Giants. About what it is that motivates you and what are you playing for? Well, you brought up family. For some guys, money. For almost all of them, they're still playing for a drive, whether it be this year or moving forward. Hynoski for a gain of 9. Damontre Moore is going to get a lot of playing time over the final 4 weeks of that season, and that's primarily due to all the injuries the Giants have had on their defensive front. Another penalty flag comes down. And I would imagine you were around Tom Coughlin every day for longer than a decade. He will be none too happy about that play by Damontre Moore.
He preaches about penalties and disciplined, smart football every single day. And you said it about Damontre Moore. I know a lot of people saying he should be playing more. He should be doing more things. But penalties like that and the mental errors he's had this season, Coach Coughlin will not put up with that stuff.
You know, those are the things that when you start to talk about, okay, should a coach come back? Has his time passed? That is being written about morning, noon, and night, talked about morning, noon, and night by Giant fans. And that's part of the job. Tom Coughlin understands that. I mean, it goes with the territory anywhere, but especially in New York. But when you make decisions about what coach you're going to keep or not keep, as Manning rolls and destroys the way, there are players' futures that are directly affected by what you do with a coach because of what we just saw a moment ago as an illustration by Damontre Moore. Well, flag was thrown about 10 yards beyond the line of scrimmage into the secondary.
Ineligible player number 70 downfield prior to the pass. A penalty is declined. It's 3rd down.
Struck in quickly back in L.A. with Kurt Menefee.
All right, the Colts drawing back against Cleveland. Andrew Luck hooks up with Eugene Hilton Jr., better known as T.Y. Maybe moves like that mean thank you. They missed the 2-point conversion, 21-16 right now, late in the 3rd. Tom and David.
All right, Kurt, thank you very much. Third down, they drop off the screen to Rashad Jennings. 1st down and then some. All the way down to the 20-yard line on a screen to Jennings. John Jerry and Will Beatty leading the way.
J.D. Walton get out in front there. Very nice play design. You're going to watch John Jerry and J.D. Walton are both going to get out on the screen. They make sure they block up in front. See J.D. Walton, number 1. John Jerry with another big block and a huge conversion on 3rd down. Offensive linemen are athletes too.
You better believe that. You better believe that.
What is it? Q9.
On the sideline, stepping out of bounds is Preston Parker. We talked about a lot today. The 2 rookies for the Giants. Odell Beckham Jr., 130 receiving yards, and the best career day for Andre Williams, his first 100-yard rushing game as a rookie. And look at that, you got to go all the way back to 1980. The last Giant rookie duo over 100 yards rushing and 100 yards receiving in the same game. Wow.
Very impressive what Andre Williams has been doing today. Earlier in the season, like we've talked about, Jennings was kind of the back that set up Andre Williams. But he's playing very tough, very smart football today.
Incomplete on second down. It'll bring up third down for the Giants. Third down and 6. And Williams off to the sideline. Jennings comes back in.
Jennings is a back that is very smart in pass protection, picking up blitzes. So I'm sure that's why they just brought him in, to make sure if the Tennessee Titans do decide to dial up a blitz, he's the back that you want in there.
Manning right into the hands and out of the hands of Donnell and landing into the hands of Michael Griffin. No, they're saying it is not an interception. Ball hit the ground.
Talk about closing games. That's something you need to do to close games, is catch a football that is put right where it needs to be. Larry Donnell, I don't know if he's worried about, Griffin coming across the middle, worried about getting hit, but you need to catch that ball.
A fourth field goal try today now for Josh Brown. He made his last one, the fourth one, from 52. Now trying to go 5 out of 5 on the day. This one from 37 yards out. Diassi the snapper, Weatherford the holder.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, still fourth down.
Wow. I'm sitting here watching them line up for a field goal when they should have had a touchdown right now.
Now you're back up 5 yards. 37 becomes a 42-yard field goal try. We've already seen Tom Quinn have a shouting match. Actual physical contact with his punter, Weatherford. And that one is good by Brown. 5 for 5 today. Here's Josh Brown. Well, they call it Ryman Auditorium now. It originally opened in 1892 as the Union Gospel Tabernacle. Well, it is now, for many, 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 many years, known as the Grand Ole Opry House right here in Nashville. Right on the corner, 5th Avenue North. Antonio Andrews drops the ball. He'll take a knee. Well, some here in Nashville have found something to smile about. (36-7), the New York Giants lead it. We are in the fourth quarter with 11:22 to go from Nashville. Mettenberger on the day, 13 out of 21 with an interception, and that one incomplete on first down. Well, beginning today in the NFL, 4 weeks left to go. Cardinals are reeling. They've lost 2 in a row, still sit atop the West. Packers, Eagles, all at 9-3, and the Falcons right now, by virtue of a tiebreak, better than New Orleans. Now we're going to get to some of those teams. That one is down the middle of the field and caught at midfield by Nate Washington, and that's the first down by Tennessee.
Nate Washington right here in the slot. This is a player this season that is averaging 16 yards per catch. Antrell Roll thinks he's passing that one to Stevie Brown. There's some miscommunication on the back end and a breakdown. A huge play right there for Nate Washington.
Berger steps up, and that one underthrown. Now, David, I want to ask you, those division leaders, and we know that the Cardinals are going to play later today, and then they have to turn around working on a short week And they will play on Thursday night after meeting Kansas City at home. They go to St. Louis, but they finish the year against Seattle and San Francisco. Are they the most vulnerable of all the division leaders?
I think that they are. And, you know, the game that I'm continuing to think about is next week. That Eagles-Cowboys game is going to be a huge one.
Sacked, Mettenberger, by Devon Kennard. And once more, Mettenberger is in pain. He's been in pain all day today after getting injured with that right throwing shoulder on a hit by J.J. Watt last Sunday, knocking him out of the game in the third quarter. And Jake Locker is already finding his helmet after this.
Kennard comes right off of the edge, completely unblocked. Takes another big hit, and he has been all day.
Just 2 plays before that, the arm already hurting. On his way back to the locker room is Zach Mettenberger. I mentioned he had to leave the game last week in the third quarter after he was hit by J.J. Watt. Some felt that was a little too much extra on that hit by Watt a week ago, landing on top of Mettenberger. 2 plays before that last sack. Here's what happened.
Now, the play before that last sack, that's the one that he underthrew Delaney Walker. But you see its facial reaction, him grab his arm right away. He's feeling that shoulder, and then sure enough, the next play gets a big sack put on him, driven right into the ground on that same shoulder, and that's when he was just taken off the field and out of the game now into the locker room.
So Jake Locker, #1 draft pick back in 2007, the 8th overall pick that year out of Washington. He started 22 games over his first 4 years. I don't know how many remember the fact that in his rookie year, he was the backup to Matt Hasselbeck. So they did what a lot of people feel you should do with a young quarterback, give him a little time to watch and learn the game. Second year, he played in 11 games and got hurt. Last year, started 7 games, got hurt.
Challenging the ruling that the receiver did not make the line of the game.
Well, they're challenging that call, so we will step aside while they take a look at it. Ken Wisenhunt 0 for 4 on replay challenges so far this year.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It'll be 4th down. Tennessee will be charged with its first time out of the second half.
The review is of Derek Hagan's catch. Getting it, trying to stretch out. That elbow is down.
So rather than a first down, that's what they were hoping it would be. It's 4th down and a yard for the Titans, trailing 36-7.
False start, number 60, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
They're trying to get that one quick, come up and get that first down, but at the same time, you can't have that penalty. I mean, you want to convert, you want to go fast, that's fine. But at the same token, if you don't snap the ball in cadence, in rhythm, you're going to get a penalty.
And that was on their center.
It's on their center. Chris Spencer, who is a veteran player.
Hey, 53, lose it.
So 4th down and 6 now for the Titans, and down goes Locker. Mike Harris coming around the corner on that blitz.
Very nice blitz design, because you're going to look at the other side. Jake Locker adjusts the protection. You hear him calling out, slides everything left. They shoot it from the other side. Very nice play design there by Perry Fewell.
Harris just picked up by the Giants after he was signed to the Lions practice squad. They're going for the gusto to Beckham, and he couldn't get it.
Another play action rollout by Eli Manning. Puts the ball out there. That's a ball that Odell Beckham Jr. catches 9 times out of 10. So I know everybody wants to see those one-handers in the back of the end zone. That's one you have to catch and show that you do more than just that.
What is it? What is it?
Andre Williams for a couple of yards. What a day it has been for the rookie out of Boston College. 4th-round draft pick. Grew up in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Of course, it's been a great day for a lot of Giants here today when you're up 36-7. Third down and 8. The Giants will punt.
That time that blitz got there, Titans were able to have Eli Manning throw that ball quicker than he wanted to get rid of it. Miscommunication between both of them. But I think if Odell Beckham Jr. would have caught that football, I know he's a guy that gets yards after a catch, but he still was 2 yards short of sticks.
Fair catch inside the 5-yard line by McCluskey. We're going to get to some of the wild card teams in a moment, but you look at this group right now. Indianapolis and Cincinnati are both trailing in their game. Then look at the rest and all the teams fighting it out in the hunt and the wild card.
That is unbelievable to see that many teams at 7-5 in the hunt, all in the AFC. That division between the Steelers, the Ravens, the Browns, that division has just been absolutely phenomenal this year. And you talk about blooding each other up to get in the playoffs.
Yep.
That's been the division that's been the best at it.
Locker on first down to Washington. That'll be a gain of 12. You know, out of 16 teams in the AFC, 11 of the 16 have 7 or more wins. Now, obviously, with so many division games in both the NFC and the AFC down the stretch, you have a hard time getting the majority of those teams getting to 9 or 10 wins. That one dumped off, and that'll be a first down reception made by Hagan. And we check in with Joel Platt back in Los Angeles.
Tom, coming up next, it's Mark Sanchez, LaShawn McCoy, and the Philadelphia Eagles welcoming in the defending Super Bowl champs and Russell Wilson for a showdown in the NFC. It's America's Game of the Week next on Fox. Tom and David.
Who you like in that game, David?
Great question. Hold on, I want to see this run here. Oh, I thought that we were going to see a big pull there. See if we're going to break when he was an arm tackle away.
But the defending Super Bowl champion Seahawks, who have had their ups and downs this year. I mean, not to say they cruised last year, but they clearly were the best team, a dominant team all year long. And now they go to Philadelphia. Seahawks are just trying to get into the playoffs. They're not even thinking about a Super Bowl.
Well, they most certainly are. Go back to your question in that game. I just have really liked the way that the Eagles have played at home. So I think I'm going to pick the Philadelphia Eagles in that matchup tonight. I think they do a nice job against a scrambling quarterback of, had somebody spine, keep that contained. Connor Barwin's been phenomenal at it this year. So I think this is a game that I think the Philadelphia Eagles will show that they're a proven, legit football team.
And that would really put the defending Super Bowl champions in a tough spot going into the final 3 weeks if indeed that holds true. Seattle at 8-4. With 3 games, all divisional games after today. 49ers at home, at Arizona. And they wrap up the year at home against St. Louis. Fagan on a wide receiver screen, dropped for a 2-yard loss. It'll bring up second down.
Nice blitz by Jameel McClain. He's able to get that pressure in there quick release, and once again, nice tackle by Mike Harris.
Hey, Rocket 53. Rocket 53. Yeah, 53. Blue 80. Booty hut.
Intercepted by Quentin Dix.
Nice play by the veteran Antrel Roll there, sitting back, sees that Delaney Walker is running right down that seam, makes a break on that ball, and that is your typical tip drill. Here's Antrel Roll, eyes through, keeps his eyes through, sees that blocker is targeted, honed in on Delaney Walker. Big play and big turnover. It's definitely something for Perry Fewell to clap about right there.
Well, we mentioned the last couple of weeks, all of a sudden that pass rush has come alive, and boy, it's incredible when you get pressure on the quarterback. How many good things more than not are going to happen for your team on defense. Williams adding to his rushing total. Stiff arming his way out to the 37-yard line. Hope they run him out of bounds to the 35. We're talking about Williams and how he did not have a single reception in 4 years at Boston College. And he knew that if he wants to be a part of this offense or be a part of any offense in the NFL, if you want to give yourself a chance to play on all 3 downs, you got to catch a football. So he spent all of the offseason catching racquetballs, catching tennis balls. A couple of receptions today, giving him 13 on the year.
Not only do you have to catch the football, but your understanding and knowledge of defensive blitzes and diagnosing things and picking it up. Because I will tell you this, you could be the best running back in the NFL, but if you can't block, if you can't go in there, you're not going to be out on the football field because you can get somebody else hurt.
Winding down on the 4-minute mark here in Nashville, and a 3rd down. They're just going to turn and hand it off. And that is Darkwood, and he spins his way maybe back to the line of scrimmage, and the Giants will punt it. You know, a lot of fans and those of us in the media, we get wrapped up in paying attention to this time of year about, all right, well, if the season ended today, where would every team be picking in an upcoming NFL draft? It's made a much bigger deal when you're closer to being number 1 or 2 than it is number 31 or 32. Fair catch called for by McCluster at the 23-yard line. And if we had to pull up the draft order going into play today, Tennessee number 4, Jets number 5, Giants number 7. We were told, though, by Mike Martz, whom you've gotten to know very well, and our producer, Bob Stenner, has gotten to know very well, that all his years in football, he said never one time, not one time, did he ever hear from another coach, from a member of the front office, general manager, owner, no matter how bad your year was going, not one time was that topic ever brought up.
It was my 11 years of playing for the New York Giants. That was never talked about. You're competing for today. Yeah, you're fighting for the future, but everything is about the now and the present. And like we stated in the opening, you know, not only as players, but as coaches too, you're working for your job. You're fighting for your job. And I know as a player, you're thinking about those things because these are the people that they're thinking to replace you as a player. These are the guys that think that they may bring in to take your job. So you better produce on the football field and show that you're a worthy guy that deserves to be out there.
Second down and 8, and Walker on in relief of the injured Mettenberger. Completed pass to Durham. Walker scrambling around trying to get to the first down, and he does. Slides his way, and it took a hit from behind by Shockey Brown that'll more than likely tack on 15 more yards.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 39, defense, hitting the quarterback that slid to the ground, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Not surprised about that penalty being thrown at all. He's declaring and showing that he is going down. Shockey Brown clearly sees that his knee's going down, that he's sliding. That's when you just run by and you tap him. That's it. No point to give up yards in a game like this when things are going so well.
2:09 to go. Walker 8 out of 9, 73 yards and a interception. And now he'll run again, and again will run for a first down, and will dive forward to the 25-yard line, which brings us to the 2-minute warning. Giants trying to get their first win since October the 5th. Fox brings you the biggest fight card in broadcast television history. Junior De Los Santos taking on
Stipe Miocic.
I should know that. Good Cleveland guy. Plus Rafael Dos Anjos battling Nate Diaz and many, many more. Two-night UFC event beginning Friday, the Ultimate Fighter. That'll be on Fox Sports 1. The finale there. Saturday, UFC Fight Night on Fox. And we'll drop it off to Leon Washington, former All-Pro New York Jet, down to the 18-yard line.
Anytime I think of Leon Washington, I remember him returning kicks for the Seahawks. Man. Before his injuries, he was a complete game breaker.
Being produced today by Mark Teitelman, directed by Greg Scopatoni. Our technical producer, Bob Muller. Our technical director, Dane Crawford. Our associate director is Yvonne Wagner. As Walker is socked by Paul. Paul, his third sack of the game. Let's get an update on Zach Mettenberger from Laura Oakman.
Because I know the last time we saw him, he was walking into the locker room, and we all saw the injury. But officially, we do want to say that the Titans said what's kept him in the locker room, not on the field, is a shoulder injury, re-injuring that shoulder that kept him in and out of practice this weekend. You guys have been talking all game about what drives guys for games that don't mean anything. Talking to Zach this week, these 4 games meant a lot to him. He's not just working on wins and losses. It's the cadence. It's the huddle presence. It's his reads. It's his checkdowns, everything. So he wanted to be out here every minute of these remaining games.
I'd like to thank our broadcast associate Jordan Wolf today. Also like to thank spotter Scott Snyder, our entire stats crew, Tom Barbary up here in the booth, Eric Norton, Mike Elbridge. We certainly miss Bob Stenner. We're hoping that he will be joining us next Sunday in Cleveland, Ohio. That could be a huge game. And another sack. Giants had 7 of them last week, and that is number 8 today. And the big fella, Jonathan Hankins out of Ohio State, getting the sack.
They're going to run an ET. They're going to start off, veer that defensive end inside, Jason Pierre-Paul. He's able to get penetration to pick both the guard and the tackle on the left side. Hankins is coming around, comes up with a big sack, but that's the position that this Titans offense has put themselves in. And here in this 4th quarter, you know that they're only passing the football. Defensive lines and defenses can just dial up all different types of stunts and games up front.
Well, Ryan Nassib going to come on and just take a knee for the final minute of this game. This has been quite a turnaround from the devastating loss a week ago when they blew the 21-3 halftime lead against Jacksonville. And at least for a week, maybe a little respite for Tom Coughlin and all the talk about whether or not he is going to be back for another year as Giants head coach. What a great career he has had. If it's the last time, well, actually, you and I are going to see him one more time in a couple of weeks in St. Louis. 7 sacks last week, 8 of them this week. First time since 1964 the Giants have had 7 or more in back-to-back games. So that'll wrap it up. Giants winners today for the first time since October the 5th. Let's send it to Kurt Menefee back in Los Angeles. State Farm Game Break Show.